In November 1989, a storm was about to hit this quiet town. A young boy named Nico, who was playing with a video camera, suddenly heard a commotion next door. When he opened the window, he saw the following scene. Curiosity drove Nico into the neighbor's house. He saw a woman covered in blood lying on the ground, her life or death uncertain. As Nico approached to check on her, the neighbor, Angel, suddenly came down holding a bloody knife. Seeing this, Nico backed away in terror and quickly fled outside. The man seemed to want to explain, but Nico was suddenly struck by a speeding car. When the man walked over to check, the boy had already lost his life. This scene was also witnessed by Nico's friend, Otto. Time quickly moved 25 years forward. Nico's family had long since moved away from this place of sorrow due to their son's death. A woman named Vera, her husband, and their daughter had just moved into the house where Nico once lived. While sorting through old belongings, they discovered a camcorder and an old TV. When they turned them on, they saw various scenes of young Nico playing the guitar. At that moment, the sky above the town was filled with lightning and thunder, just like the night 25 years ago. To celebrate moving into their new home, the couple invited their friend and the friend's mother for dinner. This friend was actually Nico's old friend, Otto, who had introduced the house to Vera. During their conversation, Vera and her husband casually mentioned the boy in the old video. This also made Otto remember that incident. He told Vera that their neighbor, Angel, had murdered his wife, and Nico witnessed the whole thing. However, Nico was tragically hit by a car while trying to escape. Otto clearly remembered not only witnessing his friend's death that night but also seeing the school clock struck by lightning, which caused a power outage for a week. Otto wanted to continue talking about it, but his mother stopped him, saying that this wasn't the right time to discuss such matters. At that moment, no one noticed Otto's mother's reaction. After dinner, Vera's husband, David, looked up the old case online and found that the neighbor had committed suicide in prison 3 months after being incarcerated. Before his death, Angel had confessed that he intended to bury his wife's body at the slaughterhouse. The couple was surprised to learn about this part of the house's history, but since so many years had passed, they didn't dwell on it. Instead, they focused on planning their future together. During their conversation, Vera accidentally found a box of matches in her husband's pocket. Her husband quickly explained that he had taken them from a hotel while on a business trip and that he didn't smoke. He then took the matches and threw them out the window. Late at night, while the sky outside continued to flash with lightning, the TV in their room mysteriously turned on by itself. The sudden noise woke Vera, and she slowly walked over to check it out. She found the TV playing the news from that time period. Just as she was about to turn off the TV, Nico's image suddenly appeared on the screen. Vera was terrified, as she clearly remembered that she hadn't put in any videotape. Meanwhile, on the 1989 timeline, young Nico also noticed something strange. He saw a woman suddenly appear on his TV screen. He cautiously approached and greeted her, which gave Vera quite a fright. Unbeknownst to them, the two timelines had already become connected. After communicating, they confirmed that they could both see each other. Nico inquired about the sign behind her, which looked exactly like the station sign from his time. Vera explained that she and her husband had met at the station, so she had taken the sign as a memento. At that moment, the noise from the neighbors startled Nico again. He went to check and saw that neighbor Angel was apparently abusing his wife. Vera also heard the commotion and urged Nico to come back, telling him about how the male neighbor had killed his wife and that Nico would die in a car accident. To convince Nico, Vera showed him the news report of the accident, which detailed young Nico's unfortunate death. However, Nico didn't believe it and thought it was a prank. Just as he was about to turn off the TV, Vera urgently said that lightning would strike the clock at his school that night, and that starting the next day, the school would have a power outage for 7 days, causing classes to be cancelled. She hoped Nico would believe her and not go outside, otherwise he would surely die in a car accident. Nico, frightened by this, ran outside immediately. Perhaps due to the delay caused by Vera's warning, the car that was supposed to hit him passed by and Nico survived. The next day at school, Nico saw that the clock on the school wall had indeed been struck by lightning. The school's teacher also mentioned that due to the power outage, classes would be temporarily suspended. When Nico returned home, he tried to contact Vera again through the TV, but after waiting for a long time, she did not appear. He suddenly recalled Vera's mention of the neighbor Angel and decided to check again to verify. To verify the truth of what the other person said, Nick quietly sneaked into the neighbor's house. Fortunately, Angel was not home. Little Nick started searching room by room and finally found the murdered woman in the bathroom. He finally believed Vera's words, but as he was about to leave, Angel suddenly returned. In a panic, little Nick could only hide under the bed, where he saw a watch. At this moment, Angel seemed to have brought some tools, and to Nick's horror, the man began to dismember the body. Meanwhile, after the conversation with little Nick, Vera woke up to find herself lying in a hospital bed. At this point, she didn't know that everything had already changed. Originally, she was just a nurse, but now she had become a chief physician. With no memory or experience, she had no choice but to flee. When she arrived at her daughter's school, she learned from the teacher that the girl didn't exist at all. It was as if the butterfly effect had occurred, and in this timeline, everything in Vera's life had changed. She hurried to her husband David's company. Despite saying a lot, David claimed not to know her at all. In Vera's state of emotional breakdown, the man decided to call the police. When Vera was taken to the police station, she told Officer Lara everything that had happened. Lara didn't seem to doubt her words, but instead asked Vera for specific details. Eventually, Lara informed her that their investigation showed she was not married to David, didn't live in that house, and they didn't have a child together. He suggested that Vera's version of her life might just be a hallucination. Afterward, Lara took Vera for a brain scan, but no abnormalities were found. Perhaps Vera realized that the conversation that night had changed everything. So, she secretly snuck into the house where Nick once lived, hoping to find the TV and communicate again, but was discovered by the current lady of the house. During their conversation, the woman quickly called her husband. It was then that Vera realized the husband was none other than David. It seemed that after the future changed, David married another woman. Regardless, to the couple, Vera was an intruder, especially since she kept insisting she had a child with David. This instantly angered the woman. During their struggle, a bolt of lightning struck nearby, causing the power to go out, allowing Vera to escape from the house. She then went to find Otto, unaware that in this timeline, Otto didn't know her at all. Despite Vera explaining how they met, Otto found it ridiculous. The man thanked her for the amusing story and was about to leave when Vera urgently asked about Nick and recounted the story of neighbor Angel killing his wife. This greatly upset Otto. It turned out that in this timeline, Angel was with Otto's mother. Angel's original wife supposedly went abroad and never returned, so Otto was furious at Vera for speaking ill of his stepfather. He angrily shouted at Vera before storming off. However, Vera overheard an airport staff member calling Otto nephew, leading her to wonder if Otto was actually causing a connection to form in her mind. Meanwhile, Officer Lara came looking for Vera, seemingly regarding the incident at David's house. Vera still hoped he could help her. Officer Lara stated that all her claims lacked evidence unless she could provide some proof. Vera suddenly remembered that in the original timeline, David had found out online that Angel intended to bury his murdered wife at the slaughterhouse. She wondered if the same had happened in this timeline. She shared this with Officer Lara. The police indeed found a box at the slaughterhouse containing the remains of Angel's wife. Consequently, Angel was taken into custody as a suspect. Although the relationships in this timeline had changed, the overall events still followed a similar path. On the way back with Officer Lara, he mentioned knowing Nick's address and decided to let Vera go check it out. When Vera arrived, she found David there and the woman beside him wasn't his current wife, indicating that David was cheating. Even if she had returned to the original timeline, Vera believed he had betrayed her. The matchbox on the table confirmed this. Elsewhere, according to Angel's confession, he had been secretly involved with Otto's mother for a long time. One day, his wife, who had returned unexpectedly, saw them together. In a fit of rage, she picked up a knife intending to kill Otto's mother, but in the struggle, Otto's mother accidentally killed her, and she fell down the stairs, dying instantly. Officer Lara also took out some photos, which were part of young Nick's report from back then. Nick had found a watch under the bed, which was now the same model owned by Otto's mother. According to their confession, after murdering Angel's wife, Otto's mother disguised herself as the deceased and went to the airport to create the illusion that the woman had left for another country. Since the two women looked different, they needed a familiar person to help them bypass the checks, and that person was Otto's uncle. Through their coordinated efforts, they made people believe that Angel's wife had gone abroad and never returned. With this matter settled, Vera focused on finding Nick. She threatened her cheating husband David to help her find information, and eventually, they discovered that Officer Lara was actually young Nick. Let's go back to Nick's childhood. After young Nick believed Vera's words, he saw Angel's crime under the bed. However, his claims were dismissed as lies. People didn't believe a woman from the future could speak to him through the TV, and even his mother suspected he was mentally ill. After a fruitless check, his mother decided to move away with him. Thus, young Nick spent a long time in a mental hospital. Despite everything, he never forgot Vera. Remembering Vera had said she and her husband met at the station, Nick decided to wait there. Until one day, grown-up Nick finally saw Vera at the station. As their eyes met, they both felt they had found the person they had been waiting for. The timeline shifts back to Vera. After knowing that Officer Lara was actually Nick, she rushed to his house. There, she discovered many photos of herself and Nick together. When Nick returned, he explained to Vera that they had indeed been married for a long time, but one day Vera seemed to forget him. At that moment, he realized the timeline had been altered. Fearing he would lose her, Nick did everything he could to make Vera accept the situation. He had deliberately let her discover Mark's infidelity, hoping she would see the truth and stay. Nick then gently touched Vera's face, and in that moment, all their sweet memories flooded back to her. Perhaps, during this time, Vera had truly fallen for him, but she still wanted to save her vanished daughter. She expressed that she couldn't stay and hoped Nick could tell young Nick not to go to the station, allowing her to return to her normal life. After saying this, Vera stood on the rooftop. She opened her arms and, after finishing her words, jumped. Nick watched helplessly, unable to stop her. He quickly returned to the room and found the old television. Time was running out, but he managed to turn on the video and TV. This time, he finally saw his younger self. After their conversation, Vera woke up to see David beside her. It seemed Nick had kept his promise, and she finally returned to her original timeline. Vera hurried to find her daughter. Though her daughter was unaware of what had happened, Vera expressed her long-held longing and affection. Vera then reopened the storage room but couldn't find the videotape and television. She brought this up with her husband, David. After some discussion, David stated that there had never been a videotape or television there. This puzzled Vera. Could this still not be the original timeline? Suddenly, Vera remembered something. She went outside, and under David's questioning, she finally found the matchbox. She realized that no matter the timeline, her husband's infidelity remained unchanged. At the same time, Vera saw Angel and Otto's mother walking by. Though she had returned to a normal life, it seemed something had still changed. To verify her suspicions, Vera took a shovel and walked into the slaughterhouse's passage. She dug and found Angel's wife's body. When the police arrived at the scene, Vera also saw the grown-up Nick. In this timeline, Nick didn't seem to recognize Vera, but she happily introduced herself to him. The film ends here. Although the director doesn't specify, it's implied that in this timeline, Vera might eventually leave her unfaithful husband and end up with Nick, resulting in a happy ending. The entire story involves descriptions of 3 timelines and the butterfly effect. Thank you guys for watching.